1,200 applications, 50 presentations to senior management, resulting in 20 startups collaborating with our group businesses. That's Aditya Birla BizLabs for you. Hi, I'm Shruti Rustagi and I'm going to be speaking to Mr. Umesh Adhikary, President Group Corporate Strategy and Business Development, to find out more about Aditya Birla BizLabs. Thank you, Umesh, for coming on Leaders Speak. There's been so much buzz around BizLabs. My first question would be, what was the genesis for BizLabs?
Thanks for inviting me to this particular forum. The genesis of BizLabs was primarily to look at how we can collaborate with the startup ecosystem, which are coming up with disruptive ideas and solutions for most of the kind of pain points which the businesses have got. Now, for collaboration with the startups, the important thing which we need to look at is why would they collaborate? How would one give a value proposition which is enticing and luring even for the startups besides our businesses collaborating along with them? So therefore, what we looked at is what are the kind of pain points for both the businesses and as well as looking at what are the startups looking for. So the startups, if I were to look at, they look at primarily how from where they can get funding in terms of germinating their idea. The second important thing is if they have got a solution or a product, how they can test their product or the proof of concept or commercialize it. And the third important thing is how can they have customers in the corporate ecosystem so that they can scale up. So what we thought was today we are the only group who can provide financial services, retail as well as mobility, because these are the areas where the startups are primarily focusing their innovative solutions. So we thought of bringing that ecosystem in order for the startups to collaborate with our businesses so that there is a mutually beneficial partnership between the startups as well as the businesses, and that was the genesis of the idea of BizLabs.
With so many startup entities or incubators and accelerators mushrooming around the country, how is BizLabs different?
Given the kind of inherent advantage which the group has got in these three businesses, telecom, financial services and mobility, wherein we are looking at a huge platform for the startup ecosystem to scale up. Now, in order to do that, we thought that how can our businesses participate along with the startup, and we encourage the startup to provide solutions only in these three areas. So given this premise of scaling up, which no other business house nor a VC can provide, we thought it is definitely a huge value proposition for the startups. And when we went and surveyed and spoke to few startups, they said that they take a huge amount of time in terms of marketing and telling their idea to the right person in the businesses who can be the ultimate decision maker in terms of them implementing the solution. In order to do that, how did we go about doing it? What we said is, can the first instance when their idea has got shortlisted be presented to our CXOs. The CXOs are the ultimate decision maker in the Aditya Birla Group ecosystem, wherein they can provide the necessary collaborative platform which is required for the startups. On the other hand, if their idea is good, we can from the group look at how we can fund these startups.
What were some of the challenges faced while planning and executing the entire BizLabs program?
Obviously, there were a lot of concern raised by the VCs, whether we as a group will be able to come up with something like a BizLabs program. That was the first challenge in terms of we trying to tell them that we are going to have a program which is going to suit to the needs of the startup ecosystem as well as the VCs. If we are having the CEOs or the CXOs on day one when the startups are going to come and present, that will be a huge benefit to all the startups. That was the first challenge in terms of how do we design this entire thing and how we can do this within a period of just 20 days. The second one was, when we were interacting with everyone, we always thought that we will get around 200 to 250 entries. And by the time we reached the last date, that is 2nd of September, we had almost more than 1200 applications. So that was the real challenge, because we never anticipated nor we were prepared for it, how the evaluation of these applications can happen so that we can shortlist these companies for the BizCXO day. The third challenge was primarily what kind of support we are going to get from the businesses during the Biz Core program, which was for the 20 days. Because what we had told startups is the entire integration collaboration process would happen within these 20 days. I was extremely apprehensive whether they would be able to devote this much of time or not. Most of the businesses, they actually interacted with them, and the overall shortlist which they did for the Biz CXO day was a huge number. It was around 55 companies which got shortlisted for them to interact during the Core Biz Labs program. And corporate communication helped us quite a bit in terms of rolling out the entire or executing the entire marketing plans. On the other hand, corporate HR also help us in the entire admin related work in terms of how, where we can have the entire Biz CXO program. Besides that, we had corporate IT participating, CIBD participating, as well as corporate economic cell participating, besides the chairman cell and corporate finance. This was the kind of participation which we saw from the corporate cell. Besides that, the three businesses where we had the middle management as well as the junior management participated wholeheartedly, making this program, the BCXO day as well as the Core Biz Labs program, quite successful.
On that note, can you tell us something more about the interesting ideas that were received?
Oh, there were a lot of interesting ideas which came about, and most of them are enabling ideas rather than disrupting ideas. Let me give you some example. In the retail space, we had a company like Nifty Window, which came about telling us that how can we bring offline stores online, which is more like an omni-channel solutions for our businesses. So what does it do? It primarily does how we can have improve the search process. If a person is there in a geographical location which is close to a store, the first thing which will pop up when he starts searching would be our store. So therefore, that is something which is very, very interesting for our for our retail business. The second important idea which came about is in the lines of queue busting. One of the big problems why customers don't come to our retail store more during the weekends is because there are long queues. So here there are three companies, you take M-Swipe or Tone Tag, where one can look at providing on the spot point of sale solution. So therefore, no one needs to stand in the queue. Or let us say there are solutions which people have come up with, saying that how can I attract customers who are in the nearby vicinity, either through beacons or through some kind of SMS messaging, because I know already that the loyal customer is there in that particular vicinity. And this helps the customer experience as well as the increased in sales in our retail stores. If I come to mobility, in mobility we had a lot of companies looking at API monetization or looking at how they can increase the data usage, and data usage is a straight away increase in revenue for our telecom company. On the other hand, if we look at financial services, there were companies like CoverFox, Easy Policy, Bank Bazaar who had come, who were saying that how they can collaborate with insurance in terms of getting more customers and retaining them. In lending, we had companies like Instacash, as well as we had companies like Faircent, which provided credit scoring in a very, very simplistic way, so that the time which is taken to provide loan to a particular customer reduces from the current, let us say 2 months, to probably around 15 days. So those are the kind of solutions which are ideas which had come, which was extremely important as well as valuable for our businesses.
What has been the response of both the internal and external entities in terms of startups, VCs, our own businesses? What has been their response so far?
If you see this particular program, unless we have good quality ideas coming into it, the response from the businesses will not be that high. And at the same time, if the response from the business is not that great, good quality ideas will not come in. We had VCs part of our panel, who are going to shortlist. So in the eyes of the startup, even what has happened is they saw that there is an external element which is there, it is not completely internal. So the startups were very, very keen to look at how Aditya Birla Group is evaluating them, and more importantly how they can get us as a customer and collaborate their solution into our ecosystem. Internally, people were very, very supportive. They thought that having this kind of access to the entire startup ecosystem is great. Let's say, for example, in retail we had got 400 applications. So from 400 applications, it was like all solutions which were there in the universe of retail, and it helped us in terms of funneling and getting to the best of the ideas, and these shortlisting were done by the businesses themselves. So therefore, these are the kind of support which we saw from our internal team, and that is how the businesses also there was a fair amount of ownership in them, how they can look at or collaborate with these startups in terms of executing the ideas which had come.
I think this phase of BizLabs has been fairly successful, with 20 startups already planning to scale up on the Aditya Birla platform. So what is the vision for BizLabs going forward?
Given the kind of 15 businesses we have got, and predominantly in the manufacturing as well as the services business, I think it is more important for us to come up with these kind of innovative solution by collaborating with the startups even in the manufacturing area. If you see today, the emerging area which is coming up is more in the data analytics space as well as in the IoT solution space, and these are primarily focused on the manufacturing side of it. In India, it is too early now, but there are companies which are there in the Silicon Valley as well as in Israel who have actually developed it, and some of these solutions are currently being operated in both the US as well as Europe. We have tied up now with Stanford. Stanford, interestingly, has got an incubator platform which is called as StartX, which does all the kind of innovative solution in various different sectors. So therefore, that is a great place where one can have innovative solutions coming up for our businesses. Israel is another place where one can collaborate with universities like Tel Aviv, as well as the startup ecosystem is quite buoyant over there. Besides this, we are speaking to a lot of VCs as well as the startup and incubator in the US. Take for example Y Combinator, the 500 startup ideas, or Techstars. All of these are very, very keen to now collaborate with us. So to summarize, there are two great ideas which I think should be the vision for BizLabs. One is basically how we can collaborate with these universities as well as startups abroad which are coming up with these kind of innovative solutions to collaborate with our businesses. So on one hand, the startups benefit by coming into India, the geographical expansion part. On the other hand, our businesses get this competitive edge of implementing the solutions which is enabling and providing either customer experience or improving their EBITDA. On the other hand, some of these ideas are something which we need to pursue because it may give rise to a huge new business for the group. Having access to that, understanding what kind of business is going to be much more adaptive to the group's culture, can make a huge benefit from a new business avenue for the group.
That's great to know. I think those are very exciting times to come. Thank you so much for your time.
Thanks for giving me a chance to talk about BizLabs as well as the innovative stuff which we are trying to implement within the group.